During the Second World War, they established a prisoner of war camp west of St. Thomas. And there was a lot of German prisoners brought there. And if the farmers needed help, they would load up a bunch of those fellows and that wanted to work. If they didn't want to work, they didn't have to. But if they wanted to go out and work a little, they could. And they would bring a load out, whatever you needed, 3 or 4, or whatever. If you was thrashing, you could ask for 3. Some man would sit there and take them home when you was finished. A bunch of us farmers, we thought we'd like to have some when we were thrashing, so we started that. And I didn't like the idea. So I knew Bill Duffy, who was the head of the prison camp. And I went and asked him if we couldn't bring out about 5 or 6 of these fellows and place them on the farms around, and we'd keep. They could stay right with us. Well, he said it's a little against the rules and regulations, but he said, I'll take it up with the authorities and see what we can do about it. So finally he said, yes, if you want some of them, come and get them. He said, I wish you'd be a little bit responsible and keep me informed on how they're doing, see they don't run away or anything. So we went up and got one for me, one for Carl Wright, one for Sid Rainford, one for Sonny White, and one for Don't, and one for Roberts. And they stayed right with us. They were all good men and real nice fellows to get along with. They enjoyed the work for us. They'd get together on Sunday. They'd come to one of the farms and all get together and spend the afternoon. And then they were together part of the time through the week because we were all helping each other thrash and do a lot of things like that. And my man, I forget his last name, but he really liked it here. He told me once, he said, if you can get me to stay with you, he said, I'll work for you for nothing for 3 years. I said, well, I'll take it up with the powers that be, but I'm afraid you can't do it. So I took it up with Duffy, and he said, well, I'll take it up and see if we can't do a little something about it. But they couldn't do anything. It was an international agreement that they had to go back when the war was over. But while he was there, they were wonderful help. Rainford had a man that was a painter, and he painted his house for him. My man he was good at anything. He could drive teams, he could milk cows, he could do most anything you could ask him to do. He really liked it. At that time, I was making a lot of records on cows, and I entered a calf in the national sale, and it went for an unheard of price of $11,000 at that time. It was only 4 months old. And the next morning after I come home from the sale, we went down to my east place to do some work, and we stopped at Don'ts. The Don'ts were Germans, and the boys all liked to go in there. But as soon as I stopped, he got off the wagon and he went in and said, Mrs. Don't. He said, we sell the calf for $11,000. She said, oh, Otto, you're a little bit mixed up here. $1,100. No, he said, big money. We sell one for $11,000. While they were there, Aylmer Fair come on, and I was president of the Aylmer Fair. So I took them all to the Aylmer Fair. They spent the whole day there. They really enjoyed themselves. They rode the merry-go-rounds, looked at the cattle and horses and the shows, and some of the side shows. They really had a free-for-all. While these boys were there helping us work, their hair got kind of long. and they wanted to go to a barber shop. So I took 3 of them to Aylmer to a barber shop. I took them into a barber that I had known for years, and he looked at me and he said, "These are German prisoners." I said, "Yes, they're German prisoners." Well, he said, "I won't cut their hair." I said, "Thank you very much." I said, "You'll never cut mine again either." I said, "These fellows can't help it because they're prisoners." I said, "They're all very nice guys." And I said, "We all like them very much." Well, I took them to another barber shop, and he cut their hair for them and trimmed them all up. When the war was over, they had to go home. And after they'd been home some length of time, my man wrote me, asked me if it is possible that he could come back and work for me again. But I had changed my operation and got men on shares on my farm instead of hired help. And I had to write him and tell him that I had changed my farm operations and couldn't do it.